Today I'm going to be making some glass vials with metal flakes inside, and this prop is inspired by a book series called Mistborn, written by Brandon Sanderson, and is also part of the cosplay costume that I made for one of the main characters. For this costume, I wanted some glass vials with different looking metals and shavings, flakes, and foil inside little vials, along with this one that has some silver beads in it as well. So some variety of metallic things and shiny stuff in vials. That's the goal of this little craft. Okay, let's talk about supplies. First, we need vials, and this is a little variety pack that has different size vials that are stopped with a cork. The next thing that I'm going to need are some little metallic bits. This is some thin foil for gilding, but are very shiny and beautiful. And then the next thing I have here are some little metallic chips. They're 3D, it's not glitter. It's almost like irregular sprinkles is what those look like. The next metallic type item that I want to use are these powders, and this is called embossing powder. It's used a lot in paper crafting to add 3D kind of effect to the paper. And it starts out as granular and not very shiny, and it melts and gives this really cool effect. There's tons of colors, and these are some metallic and some glitter ones that I'm going to use for this project. Now, the way that you use embossing powders is with a heat gun. And this heat gun is extremely hot. So this is the obligatory be careful, be safe, be smart kind of thing. So just know this gets super hot, which means I need a place for my glass vials to cool down back to room temperature because glass stays really hot for a long time. Let's put this aside for now, and we're just going to work with the foil. And I'm going to stuff some of this copper foil gilding flakes into the vial with some tweezers. And I'm just going to put as much as I want into this little vial, as much or as little as you'd like. This looks really cool by itself, just with the copper in there, and I could put the stopper on this and it would look really neat, just as a prop. Okay, let's do a few more mixes. In this example, we're gonna use gold stuff. So I've got some gold embossing powder, and I'm gonna use this coffee filter as a little catch to contain the dust because it can get staticky and kind of go everywhere. So I'm gonna use this little scoop to measure out and portion some of the embossing powder into the vial. After that's done, I can also use the coffee filter to just kind of pour the extra powder back in, and then I'll cap this off and save it for later. Okay, I'm going to let my heat gun get good and hot, maybe let it run for about 30 seconds or so, and then I'm going to pick up the vial with these pliers. As the embossing powder heats up, it's going to get stuck to the side of the vial. After this is cooled off, I'm going to go ahead and add some of these gilding flakes in here. So this is where it gets kind of creative. Here's one with the copper embossing powder and then the little metallic chunks. You can mix and match these, and then here's an example with like 3 colors of embossing powder. We've got the little chips in there as well as gilding. Okay, moving on to epoxy. We are going to have part A, part B, mix, mix, mix according to the directions. And then we're going to add this to our vials. I'm going to use a syringe to do this, and I have to be careful not to make bubbles in the mouth. And then I need to poke down the things inside to make room for more epoxy. So it's a back and forth process multiple times. Okay, so I'm doing that for every single vial. Kind of get these foil flakes suspended like I want to. After those are cured for 24 hours, I am ready to take a look at these, and they are pretty neat. This turned out cool with the way the epoxy affects the light coming to these vials, and it's just pretty effective. Since this is for a cosplay costume, I want to make sure that the corks are going to stay on really well. So I'm using a flexible all-purpose adhesive, and then I'm going to let that dry as well. Okay, let's take a look at the final product. With a combination of glass vials, metal shavings, flakes, foil, and embossing powders, you can get a bunch of different looks for these Mistborn-inspired vials. Thank you for your time and have fun crafting.